Thank you, colleagues. I am happy that I could hear directors from AIIMS New Delhi, Jodhpur, AIIMS Raipur, AIIMS Rishikesh, AIIMS Bhubaneswar, AIIMS Patna, AIIMS Bhopal, AIIMS Nagpur, and also Jipmer Puducherry, and finally PGI Chandigarh. So thank you for being here. I don't want to give any long, speech or instructions or anything. I just wanted to, in fact, meet you through this video conference and just have a feel of what's actually happening inside our AIIMS. So it was heartening to know whatever has been done there, like preparation for all these beds and testings, etc., and then some future planning also. And I could visualize that if there is a need, we can improve upon our strength also in terms of our beds and other facilities for testing, etc. So at a personal level, I don't actually believe with what the numbers are being projected by our experts at the academic level, because whatever they had projected, even the experts within our country and also some experts had come from outside the country also. So they projected huge numbers which ran into millions in April itself. So all that has been proved wrong, because everything cannot be calculated with a mathematical projection. This is what I have always felt working in the field of health for almost 4 or 5 decades. But God forbid if we have those unfortunate situations, and if we have those numbers which are being projected by our experts, we should have the preparation. So that's why we are preparing, and we have prepared ourselves for the worst also. Thankfully, our own experts have also revised their future projections now. But in any case, we have to keep ourselves prepared for the worst situation. The idea why I wanted to talk to you was, you are all aware of what's actually happening about COVID now. You all know that it's a new virus. You are all aware that this virus started its journey from China, and it has now traveled almost through every country and is still present in all the countries all across the world. A few may be exceptions, but broadly it is there in over 215 countries or so. And it is not the first time that a virus has come and in a way attacked human beings, right from the days of smallpox and many other viruses that we have seen over the years. And whenever a virus comes, there is so much of fear and panic and all. You all remember that when the HIV virus came, the whole world was like frightened. I remember a conference that I had attended in '94 in Bangkok, where there were participation from all the developed countries and all, and even countries like America were so frightened by the HIV. But with passage of time, we have been able to ultimately handle HIV also. And it's only smallpox and polio that we have been able to eradicate in this world. But rest of the viruses, whenever they have come, they have continued to stay. They have created some sort of havoc during their initial appearance. So I think that's the way this virus is also going to have its future journey. Right now, because of its high level of infectivity, we are the way it has come first time and the way so fast it has moved to the whole world and is causing so much of havoc in even the developed countries. So that's why there is so much of you can say panic and fear about the whole virus. But fortunately in India we are the ones who have started recognizing this virus from the day one. You all know that 7th of January was the day when China had declared to the WHO about this virus, new coronavirus. And in this ministry itself, we had our first expert group meeting on 8th of January. And 17th of January, we started with all the planning about giving all the health preparedness guidelines to all the states, starting our community surveillance and also starting giving advisories to airlines and travel advisories to people inside the country, outside the country, who should come, who should not go outside, etc., etc. And then it was like throughout a preemptive and a proactive, graded sort of response to the whole thing right from the day one. And then ultimately, you remember that we blocked all the international travel outside, inside. We did not allow after 19th of March any flight to come inside. And the last passenger that came into India was on 23rd of March. And since then, a number of other proactive steps like this, Janta curfew and the likes of this lockdown 1, lockdown 2. Now this tenure of the lockdown 2 is also finishing on 3rd of May. So we have been very, very proactively working towards, and the whole country as a whole has participated with, very jointly we have been fighting the virus. Within the government also, it's not only the health ministry, but it's a total government approach. Everybody right from the top to the bottom is deeply engaged in it. Even our, you can say the grassroots ASHA worker is also so sincerely helping the cause in many states, going house to house and searching actively cases of probable cases of coronavirus. So it's a very, very, I think, beautiful experience that we have all, although it's in unfortunate circumstances and it's not so happy experience to be seeing patients suffering, their admissions, and then they infecting others, and then health workers, our doctors and others getting the disease also, and then around all this so much of stigma for the patients also, for the health workers and the doctors also. So there have been very negative aspects of the whole issue also. But the good thing is that considering any parameter that we are probably placed at literally at almost number one in the whole world in terms of our approach that we have adopted, and the outcome of that approach, whether it is the number of cases that have been infected, or whether it is the mortality rate, whether it is the recovery rate, or whether it is every day I review in the evening how many patients were on ventilators in the country today, how many were on oxygen, how many were in ICU. And today also, just now I got the message for the last 24 hours is just about 0.35% patients were on ventilator today. Only 1.25% patients were on oxygen, and then only 2.45% patients were in ICU. So that And the very fact that we have a good recovery rate also is almost 22%. Over 6,000 patients have already got out of the hospitals. This also again speaks volumes about the type of care that we have been able to provide to our patients, and also about the early diagnosis and early, you would say, admission to the hospitals. Most of the places where the mortality rates have been high, the people say that it's because of late admissions and all. And then most of these patients have been the ones with comorbidities. Unfortunately, that's why we have been impressing upon everyone time and again that we need to care more about our elderly people. So the idea of calling you all is, you all know that the whole country right now is very clear that where is our enemy right now. What are the places, what are the districts, what are the blocks, and what are the houses and the patients who are infected with corona now. So over 300, around 300 districts in the country are this number keeps going up and down a bit, but they remain unaffected. And then this is around the same number is the ones which are non-hotspot districts where we have very few cases, maybe minimal cases, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then of course maybe around 130 odd districts where we are calling them as hotspots. And overall, I was just looking at the data today that last 7 days, 69 districts haven't reported a case, 44 districts have not reported a case in last 14 days, and 40 districts have not reported a case in 21 days, and then 16 districts have not reported a case in last 28 days. Pre-lockdown, we had this doubling rate of 3 days or so, but now it's almost like 9.5 to 10. That's the doubling rate. Whether it is you calculate it for 3 days or 7 days or 14 days, it ranges between 8 to 10. That's the latest situation. And the point that I want to, and then of course you have all these dedicated COVID centers, dedicated hospitals, all those are ready now. We have enough of preparation done, whether it is for ventilators, although the number of ventilators which are being needed is very, very minimal, but still we are preparing for the, and you have just now heard the Special Secretary talking to you. Do you really need a ventilator? Do you need more ventilators? These are the 2 types of ventilators that you have. Which one do you want? So we have prepared, we have made arrangements for this one, but we don't have a demand for that much, because it's not only the ventilator. People will also require people who actually know how to operate the ventilator properly. So we have now, there is hardly anything which is going to be, in terms of logistics, which is going to be a problem for the country. We have over 108 manufacturers of PPEs. We have over 10 manufacturers of N95s in the country. Almost a lakh of them are being manufactured every day in the country right now, whether it is the drugs or other things. Everything is ready, but we don't want to use them. Right now, since we know where the enemy is, we have to basically, with a focused approach, where everybody is involved. And I strongly feel that the institutions like ours, the 10 institutions with whom I am talking right now, they are the ones who have to now proactively, we have a very integrated, very robust integrated disease surveillance system program in the country. We have our surveillance officers in the districts. We have also had interaction with all the people in the field belonging to WHO and other UN organizations. I did a video conferencing with almost at 1600 places with them in the country. So we have all put them in action. We have the so-called rapid response teams with 1 or 2 people from the medical colleges. But I feel that since we know our problem right now, for us the diagnosis is clear, the extent of the disease is clear, we know how to kill or defeat the virus. We want that all of us, and more particularly institutions like AIIMS and the leadership there, the people there, they, without waiting, it's not, the AIIMS don't have to behave like routine institutions where they are like any other medical college or any other hospital. They are just admitting a few 100 patients and then doing a 120 tests, and then that's all about it. I think we have to, within say 50, 100 kilometer area around us or whatever, we have to proactively define our role. We don't have to wait now, because you have to all get into the job of getting it all finished. And wherever you are, I think, because you see, you have seen yourself that till the time that should have actually come from the AIIMS. Till the time we assigned the job of asking you to proactively contact the medical colleges for getting the facility started for the creation of the lab testing facilities. And once we gave you that responsibility, you also tried to contact the medical colleges, and within no time we could ramp up our, augment all our facilities for lab testing. Today we have a capacity of 55,000 tests per day, and we are almost doing 40,000-45,000 tests in a day. And we have plans to take this capacity up to 1 lakh tests by 31st of May. And maybe I think if all of you become a little more active about it, because the government is very clear that if we have to create the facility, whatever we need for that, we have given enough of money to the states, we have given them enough of, you see, liberty within the National Health Mission, also within the disaster management activities. They can use funds from anywhere. And the government is very clear that we do not want the country to suffer at any cost. So, two things that I want you to right now take up is that the testing thing you had taken up. But for finishing this job in these hotspots, there is a well-defined strategy. We are wanting these hotspots, which are like, we say these are the red zones. We want to take them to the orange zone. So a hotspot district, if it doesn't have a case for 14 days, it goes into the orange zone. If it doesn't have a case further for 14 days, it goes into the green zone. And that's what we want the whole country to go into, the green zone. We know that we may not be able to sort of eradicate the COVID virus like we could do for smallpox and polio, but of course we have to contain it, and then like any other virus, it has to be treated like any other virus illness. Like we sometimes have cases of swine flu, or we sometimes get these Ebola outbreaks, of course not in India, but in some 1, 2, 3 countries here and there. So it will also become like that. And the good thing that is being talked about is now is that the new normal of behavior that is getting developed because of COVID, if it stays post-COVID also, which it will have to for at least some time, this will, I think, be a great blessing in disguise for many of our health programs, because it's not that social distancing is helping us only for COVID, it's going to help us for many other communicable diseases. And people had started forgetting the importance of communicable diseases, and everybody used to start talking about the non-communicable diseases. So now the people will appreciate that we can't afford to forget the communicable diseases. They will keep coming and they have to be given good quality attention. So I don't want to allot you, but I want each institution like you to proactively take up a very strong, powerful role. Don't wait for any of your state governments to talk to you. Don't wait for your central government. You have all the data. Have access to the data. Take up some 100, 200 kilometers area around you. Get into active contact with the medical profession. And then, of course, as was mentioned, today this stigma issue is a very, very big issue. Only with some statements here and there, we keep talking about it at number of forums. But you see, every now and then there are so many. Today itself there was an unfortunate case in Bangalore where a patient of COVID committed suicide. I think from 5th floor he had, I think, jumped and all. I remember a couple of weeks back, similarly, a suspected COVID patient had done the same thing in probably in RML Hospital, New Delhi, and a lot of things are happening. So, but AIIMS being the institutions where the people have extraordinary faith from the core of their heart towards AIIMS and the doctors who work in AIIMS. So you all who work in AIIMS, not only as directors, but with your esteemed faculty members, your students, your other, colleagues, you have to take the leadership role within your own states and see that, because when you will take up that role, this stigma thing will go forever, because this, we will be able to control COVID. But if as a remnant, the stigma thing remains in the society, it is going to be a big, I think, not only a curse, but it will become a big problem for managing COVID in future times also. It should not become, because this is COVID is probably the only virus which has come in recent times, which has unfortunately got this stigma thing associated with it. So I would like all of you to be actively involved in the strategy. It's not that you wait for any strategy that we will give you. You are all intelligent enough within your states and areas where you deliver services to the people. You have to devise local strategies, and with the coordination from state governments, health officials there, see how this thing actually is eliminated or it is crushed in the minds of the people, because this is growing like a big problem for us, and we were worried about the stigma that the doctors have started facing, the ostracization of the doctors, but the stigma that is associated with the patients also, and the way they are being behaved with by their own family members and others in the society, that's a very, very serious thing for all of us to ponder and devise a real strategy. We have to see how, with a great amount of compassion, we can basically work for this cause and develop the same amount of compassion in the society. One more thing that I want to highlight today is that you see, there are so many queries and so many everyday unanswered questions, and even today, every day I get so many complaints, and every day I have to pick up the phone and talk to medical superintendents and directors all over the country. I have to myself talk to them, because even now the patients, whether it is a COVID patient or a non-COVID patient, a lot of them, when they go to the hospital, they are being turned away. yesterday I give you a latest example of yesterday evening when a full-term pregnant woman, she goes to the emergency of a leading hospital in Delhi, and her amniotic sac has burst. She is bleeding, and she is being even at that stage she is being turned away to another nearby hospital, and then she writes, then she calls, and then somebody says, you please write on the COVID India Seva. You see, 4 days back only I started this in the health ministry with the help of Twitter, a COVID India Seva, which has already got some 16,000 followers in last 2-3 days. And she writes on that COVID India Seva, and when we see that, immediately we get in touch with the officials here, with the medical superintendent of the hospital, and then because we got angry and annoyed, then only she got admission in the hospital. And this is happening every day at all the places all over. So I have to request you that please make sure that these are troubled times. People are in deep trouble. Not only the COVID patients, even our non-COVID patients are also in deep trouble. Many of these chronic illnesses are not being taken care of in spite of repeated instructions, repeated guidelines, repeated meetings. They are being turned away because this has, at many places it has become a sort of a habit that to at least once try if the patient, if we can get rid of the patient. So that attitude, I think, if at all it is persisting anywhere in the country, and more particularly if it is persisting in AIIMS or institutions like this, or you have to become like, you see, role models for the other medical colleges and the other hospitals also, to sort of ensure that the patients all over the country are given the best possible, you see, treatment with full compassion and sympathetic attitude. That is right now the need of the hour. So we don't want to hear any complaints about that. And as I mentioned to you about this COVID India Seva that we have launched with the help of Twitter. Twitter had been very nice to us that they are actively helping us. So we have a team of experts here, and which is guiding the volunteers of the COVID India Seva, because a lot of people put so many questions for issues all around the country. It's not only about Delhi, but they are issues related to all over the country, the problems that they face, the questions that they are like encountering in their day-to-day sufferings. So I would like all 10 of you, because right now you have 10 here, to nominate one good person who has, number one, good information about your systems around you and about the COVID disease also. So if there is a need, if there is something related to that particular state or particular city or particular AIIMS or wherever we feel that there is a need to talk to anyone from your side, who could give the right answers to the questions being posed on the COVID India Seva. So I would, my office and Mr. Arun Singhal will coordinate with all of you to give the name of at least 1 or 2 persons who could be called by any of our volunteers from COVID India Seva at any time, and they will just call you to seek answers to specific questions. They will be all most of them are already writing the answers themselves based on the guidelines and many other things. And then, but if we have a team of 10, 15 good people represented by these AIIMS and PGI and JIPME, so we will see that the COVID India Seva becomes more meaningful, and within no time we can answer the people from that respective region, because there are queries from all parts of the country now. So there is a need for a bigger team of experts from the whole part of the whole country who could actually answer these COVID queries. So I think that's all about what I wanted to talk about. Now, I have got so many data and all, but I don't want to get into those data. My idea is only that in the next few weeks, I want the AIIMS everywhere to be to the introductory remark that was made by the Union Health Secretary. I think that was the cracks for which I had called the meeting. I want AIIMS to be very, very proactive now. Don't wait for any instruction. Your job is now to see that in your state, around your state, if you are one of those fortunate ones which are the unaffected districts, you have to make sure that they remain unaffected. And if you are the ones who are the hotspot ones, then you have to ensure that it is not the routine rapid response teams which are helping the cause of, you can say, elimination in the field or containment in the field, but it is the AIIMS-like institutions, the medical colleges which are proactively helping these people in the field in some way or the other. You don't wait for any strategy which will come from some NCDC or something, but you have to step in at this stage. And I think if people like you will step in at this stage, I am pretty sure that in May we will certainly see the end of this devastating form of COVID. Ultimately, the COVID virus will remain there, you all know and we all know. But we want it to settle once and then let it remain sort of defunct like many other viruses. And by that time, the society will also learn to deal with the virus. Fortunately, we know in our country is just about 3% mortality, 80-90% people are getting cured themselves. But more than the danger of COVID, it is the panic of COVID and it is the stigma around COVID and the way even the developed countries have lost lakhs of people in COVID, which is creating this sort of a horror story about COVID. We don't want this story to remain like that. We want everyone to appreciate that our doctors and our senior people have worked wonders, and they have ensured that when most of the developed countries could not do so well, India, with all its vast resources, its manpower, its intellectual acumen, and the great, capability, has been able to do something extraordinary. The world is looking at us. I had the privilege to participate in 3 video conferences, 2 with all the health ministers of the whole world, which was organized by WHO, 1 with the health ministers of the Southeast Asia region, and in one WHO had in fact given opportunity to India to present its case before the whole world, and WHO at the regional or at the headquarter level has officially appreciated the proactive and the preemptive approach of India, and is satisfied with how we are handling COVID and creating an example worth emulating. So I am confident that the country right now needs your able leadership and your proactive approach towards. We are not going to, after this I am not going to send you any written instructions, but I would love to learn from you through Arun Singhal-ji, what is the proactive thing that you are now doing to see that all hotspots in the vicinity of your places, and when I say vicinity, it is not some 2, 3, 4 kilometers around you, but it's your state or maybe 1 or 2 states that you can think about, whether it is protecting the unaffected areas or whether it is getting rid of the disease in the red zones. So with these few words, I would love to say thank you to all of you, and place on record my appreciation for the good work that you are doing. You have listed your potential also. Keep that potential ready. And if there is a scope in improving that potential, God forbid if what the experts are saying comes true, then we should have the preparations also. So thank you so much. We will keep in touch. And I would look forward to some 10-20 good names from you with their readily available phone numbers who can. You see, I will tell you, I will give you an example. Yesterday at 1 o'clock in the night, somebody from Mumbai wrote on our COVID Seva. Our people work 24 hours on this, almost 24 hours. Somebody from Mumbai wrote on the COVID Seva that there is a group of 400 people who are in a quarantine center in Mumbai who have not been served food and they are suffering. So the COVID Seva from our ministry, we just wrote a tweet and tagged it to the police commissioner of Mumbai. And within, you see, we have to appreciate the sensitivity and the sincerity of the people at many places. Within 10 minutes, we got a call from the police commissioner of Mumbai late in the night at 1:30, and he said, "Oh, I am so sorry that it's happening." He just assigned the job to a sub-inspector of police who was sent to that place, and for next 45 minutes they were reporting to us that how the food is being served and how the things are being taken care of, and the whole operation finished at 3 o'clock, and the a person of the level of police commissioner just responding on a tweet. And that is how we respond on these tweets, because a lot of people these days, when they see problems, they just put things on the Twitter. And there are people who are weeping, there are people who are crying, there are people who are suffering, and their suffering is like, when you hear that, it's not a big rocket science that you need. They are being thrown away from hospitals, they are suffering because of food. There are many people who have written to us that on the COVID Seva itself, if there is anybody who is deprived of food anywhere, you just tag it to us. Wherever we are, we will make arrangements for the food and all. So there are a lot of people helping the cause also. So this is for which I want 10-15 of our people. Maybe any institution out of you can give me 2 numbers. And I'm sure it's not like every time they are being disturbed, but when we want a good quality answer to a question posed to us on the Twitter Seva by any Indian, we want a good quality answer to go. And wherever we don't have a good quality answer, we may seek your advice or help. That's the only thing that is needed for this. Thank you so much. Namaskar. Wish you all good luck, and we'll keep, I think, after the whole COVID thing is over, I'll have a quick round of all the AIIMS which I have not visited till now, and then we catch up on the other things also. Thank you so much.